I'm Krista. I'm an addict.
I'm Gracie, and I'm not. I've never tried a drug.
I've tried all of them, every one of them.
What would you say the goal is of our podcast?
So my personal goal is, I've been clean for 17 and a half months, almost 18 months. I think that 2 years ago when I was in the darkest part of mental health, addiction, there would be nights because I was isolated from my family and friends, and I would be scrolling on social media or just the internet and stuff, and I would come across videos or music or somebody's post or anything that would catch my attention, that tonight's not the night, it's not going to be the night, because like I said, I battled suicide a lot and active addiction. So if we can just reach one person so that they don't give up that night or that moment, and just to hold on, that's my ultimate goal, just to touch at least one person. So what's your goal?
I would have the same goal as you, but to add on more of the family side of it, how to love an addict from a distance, support them, not give up on them, but not enable them to continue to make the choices they're making, and be there for them while they're trying to get healthy, while they're not at any point. There's the stages of everything.
So I guess we'll share first how we know each other, what role we play in each other's lives.
Background to our story.
Background, definitely. So when I was 10, her mom was my 5th grade teacher. My mom worked in the school system. That's where the story first started. And then I got really close with her mom. They were basically, her mom and dad were my second set of parents. I was there all the time. And then when I was, 14, 15. I was 15 when she was born. So they told me that they, were expecting, and they named her after me. So both of our names are Krista. That's kind of where the name came from.
The K-squared. Krista squared. There's 2 Kristas.
Because my name's Krista. And her name's Krista. So through the years, our friendship has started out with a huge age difference, but as we've gotten older, that hasn't mattered at all.
Kind of like a big sister, little sister relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
But none of the fighting part of it,
right?
The bad parts.
So with that big sister, little sister thing, kind of turned into more now she's my best friend. We've experienced every part of life, I think, that one friendship could withstand.
And we're still as close as, I would say we're closer.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the last 3 years, the trials and tribulations that life and addiction, just the things that we've overcome and can look back and see that we got through, and just from my point of view, her never giving up on me, because I always felt alone and isolated, and that's how I knew who was in my corner and that, now that, that I'm clean and sober, and those are the people that are in my circle that I surround myself with.
And I think it's important for us to share the good and the bad, because in addiction, from a family standpoint, it's hard. It's really hard. People don't talk about it, which is another big goal of this, is to just educate people. There's so many people that look down on addiction. They don't understand it, and it's just not talked about. So that's another big point. But it's easy to give up on somebody, so to show how what we've been through and how we're closer than we ever were is important for us to share too.
I would say one moment of clarity for me before I got clean this time. There have been times in the past 12, 13 years, that's how long that I've been battling addiction, that I've had some clean time, and I would just say dry time, really, because I continue to feel like there was something missing. I would see people that were really happy in recovery, and I just felt like there's something's missing, man. And it definitely for me was the spiritual side of it, and I don't know if you can attest to that. The last 3 years has been nothing but spiritual thing after experience. And
growing up, God was always a big part of my life. It was always something I believed in. But watching you go through addiction and what you've been through has really, showed me so much more to the world than I ever could have believed in before.
So I think we should talk about like what was it, 2 years ago, like the definitely thing that like God definitely is
Start with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna, yeah.
Okay.
So, it was, I would say, like, probably, like, the deepest part of my addiction, like, terrible, like, my mental health was horrible. I mean, I was basically in a meth psychosis, like, no doubt. Like, I had pretty much given up on life and, you know, being a mom, and, I mean, I was hopeless, like, hopeless, and I don't just mean, like, in a battle and addiction, like, mental health, like, I mean, that was bad times. So, it was the first time that my mom and I had, I would say, gotten a physical altercation. My parents are also super supportive. But, you know, everybody's just does the best that they know what to do. Yeah. So, it was the moment that I realized, with my mom that, like, I was not mentally stable for my kids at all. And so, like, I was looking at my mom, my dad, like, the look in their faces I will never forget ever. Like, I left their home, like, ready to, like, in my mind, when I had walked out the door, I felt like that I had no purpose to live. Like, my kids were being taken away from me, rightfully so, because I was not in my right mind. And I was headed out the door to be done with life. I mean, like I said, it was suicidal. So,
on foot.
On foot, yeah, on foot. Like I said, in a complete psychosis. So, like, technology, like, wasn't. I didn't mess with phones. So on foot, I'm walking down the highway, like, scratches all over me. Like, I've been self-harming, horrible. Like, I was done. So I'm walking down the highway, and then, like.
So I had left my mom's house, and I was headed home, and this is, like, what I would say this is really the story that, like, I've always believed in God, like I said, but it showed me God was real because I was leaving my mom's house, and these things may sound silly, but I promise they're important to the story. So I got in my car to leave, and I, like, was driving down the driveway, and I stopped, and I was like, Mom, I need hangers. I'd asked her for hangers earlier that day, and I even looked at her and said, I don't even know what made me think of that. Like, that's so weird. Like, why did I just think of that driving down the road? Like, you know, whole day's gone by since I asked, never got them. And so I go inside, get the hangers, get back in my car to leave. I get halfway down the road a little bit, out of the driveway, drive a little, like, away from the house, and I hear a bug in my car. And I was like, I gotta find out where this bug is. Like, I pull over to the side of the road. I'm, like, looking around my car because I hear it. I'm like, if it flies in my face while I'm driving, I'll get scared, right? So I'm like, I gotta find this bug. So I look and look. I don't find a bug. Never found one. There wasn't one. And so then I'm like, whatever, I'm going to keep driving. So I start driving down the road, and I see Crystal walking down the road. And I roll down my window and yell at her and tell her to get in the car. And she tells me no, to keep driving. And I was like, well, I'm going to come back and get you. So I go and turn around, come back around. And then
I was so angry, like, angry with God. Because, like I said, I had made up in my mind, like, when I walked out that was the night that I was going to end things. So, like, I'm walking down the road 10:30, 11 o'clock, and it was late. It was late.
Yeah.
And I hear, Kay. I mean, that's what she has called me her whole life. And, I mean, it was in that moment, like.
I think I actually said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get in the car. And she tells me no. I remember she said, no, keep going, and is waving me on to keep going. And I was like, you're going to get in the car. And also, there were cars behind me in the road, so I couldn't just stop. And it's, I mean, you can't really pull off anywhere, so I had to go and turn around and come back and get her.
And that is where I was, like, mentally. Like, I saw this quote, I don't even know where, but it was like, you know, if I wouldn't necessarily say I would, like, walk out into oncoming traffic, but if I was standing in the road and a car hit me, like, I'd be fine with that. And that, like, literally, that's what, in my head, that's what I'd hope would happen. Because, like, there was, like, two sides of me fighting all the time. Like, you know, this side of me that knew what right from wrong. And, like, I think your instinct, like, a human instinct of survival, like, there was that was always there, like, you know, don't die. And then there was the part of me that just had no will, no hope, no nothing. And my mental health I wasn't on medication. I wasn't practicing any kind of program. Like, so yeah, anyway, then it was super dramatic.
So I would say, like, the beginning part of me going back and getting hangers and stopping in my car and looking for a bug that wasn't there is, if those things wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have ran into you in the middle of the road. And I 1,000% believe that was God placing me there to save you that night.
Absolutely.
And that's a heavy topic. That's like a very heavy thing for us to talk about and share, and just in general, but that's what addiction is, and that's real. And I think people don't talk about those, like, real things and the scary situations and the things that are hard to digest and hard to talk about because it's just not accepted, but that's the stuff we want to talk about.
And that's just like a tip of the iceberg with, like, I mean, those are the kind of things that we are gonna discuss, because, like, there are lots of, like, just controversial, like, heavy and deep things that we've been through together that, like, before we started this, we talked about, like, it would almost be selfish for us not to share these, like, spiritual experiences that we had, because, like I said, when I've been in recovery before, I would sit and wonder what I was missing, and, like, it was these things that led up to what I believe was a spiritual awakening, and what kind of changed my whole perspective on just living life, and rather than just existing and being on straight survival mode.
And honestly, we just stopped and thought if this is something we should share, but it is, because it's real. And also, I think this is something we have wanted to do for, a year now probably, and we've never done it. Like, we're finally taking the jump and doing it, and there's always, like, what will people think? Like, what if this, what if that? Like, what will people my age think of me for doing this? But it's like, what if we help somebody?
Yeah.
What if we help one person?
And a year ago, I feel like I was in this, like, maybe I need to give my mind some time to clear before I start, sharing these heavy subjects, because, I mean, for a long time, I mean, my drug of choice was opiates, and then meth or speed. I speedballed, and so, like, it took a minute for me to come back from that, like, and I'm still, like, let's not even get it twisted, like there's still things that trigger, like I said, at that very end, I was in a complete meth psychosis. Like, I did not, like, it wasn't real, but it was real to me. Like, everything was real.
And that comes to the point, like, where people on the outside world judge people because they say, okay, you stopped using drugs, you're clean, you're done, you're healed, you're done. And that's not it at all. It's not, addiction isn't something that you stop one day. It's not something you decide to do all the time. And it's not something that you just stop and you're done and you never deal with it again, because here you are a year and a half later, and it's still something like, you and the people around you, we all deal with on a daily basis.
It's like,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I think I've heard, like, she chose that and I chooses to do that. The things that I went through was self-inflicted, and I can see that point of view, but I disagree with that, because, like, had I been in my right mind, I wouldn't have chose to do any of that. In addiction, I'm a thief, I lie, I steal, I hurt people that I love, and with a right mind and a sound mind and a healthy mind, like, I don't, since I've been clean this time, like, I don't hurt people. I choose to be good to people and do the next right thing and live with integrity.
And that's a part to remember from, like, a family's point of view is, which kind of makes it harder, I guess, is who these people are, who the addict you're loving is when they're not on drugs or whatever they're using. And so when they are and you see them act like this and it's not them, it makes it harder. But an important part to remember when they are like that is that's not who they are, like, those aren't the decisions they would make with a sound mind, and I think that's one way to remember, like, how to love somebody through it, is you have to remember those things.
And that's also what, like, another goal for mine is, like, I am so fortunate to have, friend and family and that stood by my side throughout that, who could tell the difference between this isn't our family member that we know, like, this is not her. We're going to stand by her and help her through this. And also the court system, obviously. I've been a part of the court system for, 12, 13 years now. Like, they haven't given up on me. That it's just huge, and there are people that could be watching this or that are out there in active addiction who don't have that support. So, like, if you don't have people that care about, like, we'll be those people.
Absolutely.
Like, I can, as an addict, you can tell who's out there, when you pass people and you can just see in their face. Like, I can feel it when somebody's in active addiction. So, like, I will always be rooting for the next person to do well. So that, and that's what I'm taught in the program, to give it away. There were people who, my counselor that I saw through addiction, like, she was also in recovery and, like, just never judged me, like, to my face.
Maybe behind closed doors.
Right, because I act like a complete psycho. Like, I was in a psychosis and I believed it all. So, no, but, like, she never made me feel judged. And, like, she saw through everything. It had not been for her, like, and you guys, like, I mean, I would have lost my mind. Like, right. I almost did. And that was the thing. Like, I literally I went crazy trying to prove that I wasn't crazy. Like, yeah. It's just insane. Like, how I started getting high. Yeah. So, I played basketball my whole life, sports. And then, I tore my ACL when I was 17. I had drank a little bit and smoked some weed, like, prior to that. But, like, I remember the year of when I first took a pain pill, and, like, I remember the feelings that came with that, like, all the insecurities that I felt, all the, like, I'm real backwards, I'm socially awkward, like, all those things disappeared, and for a 6 months to a year after that first time, like, I felt on top of the world. And when was the first time that you noticed that something was off?
I remember, I can't remember specifically, like, the time when I noticed. I remember getting to the age where there were times when I started getting suspicious of things happening, but I remember being, like, really young, and I don't remember exactly why I was questioning what was going on, but I remember asking my mom, and I remember that day coming to your house and you sitting me down and telling me, about being an addict, and I was young, and so in that sense, it's kind of something I've grown up knowing, I guess. And then I remember probably when I was, like, 12 is when I could finally, like, start to, like, put pieces together and realize what you were actually doing, I guess. I don't know another way to word it, but and it was hard. It was hard being, like, that young and having to deal with those things and not feeling like I could tell anybody because I didn't want you to get in trouble, and never being sure of myself of what I was thinking. But, then as I grew up, it kind of just played out where we've, like, been open with each other, I feel like, and I don't get me wrong, like, I would have tried to hide it from you till today if I could have, right. But, like, but you were always very honest with me in a
age appropriate.
Yes, which was important because I feel like I think it was important to grow up and learn those things. Like, I wasn't sheltered from it, and it wasn't a bad thing that I knew those things at all. Like, I don't look back and wish I didn't know those things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's not like it was more than I could handle. It was always age-appropriate things that are important because why hide it from kids, Like, that's a part of the world. That's what the world we live in, Yeah,
and I think, like, that I was in my right mind enough back then that I could, tell you, like, I just don't feel good. I mean, that's what I remember. Like, right. Just being like, I don't feel good. I'm tired. Like, I would use those things. But, like, as you got older, you were 16, 17, 18, and I knew what I saw in high school. So, like, I started, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I did help to guide you into, like, staying away from that because all the bad choices that I made. So, I always wondered, like, what is the purpose of me, like, going through all this? Like, because I really do genuinely feel like that I have experienced a lot of pain, just like a lot of addicts. That is what the common thing that we all have is that we have experienced pain, and I don't like experiencing pain. So, yeah, whenever I was 18 and they said, what's your 10-year plan? Like, going through almost 15 years of active addiction, in and out, questioning yourself as a mother, as a friend, and like, you know, jail, rehabs. I mean, I went to 2 long-term rehabs, 1 short. I mean, I've been in dual diagnosis centers, you know, like it's just a lot. So I feel like to share those experiences is vital in helping the next person. 3 years ago, where did you get this microphone from? Who's listening? Who's out there?
Sent you.
Sent you. Yeah. Healing. Sobriety. No. So, this is just like a preview of like the things that we're going to talk about. Like we said, personal experiences, different viewpoints.
Yeah.
Because everyone I have met in my life has either personally been affected by like addiction or they know someone.
So that's kind of a little preview of our story and what our goal is with this. Our plan is to post weekly videos and just see where it goes. Like we said, if we help one person, we help one person. If we help 10, we help 10. But we hope you stay and listen to us. And we'll get better, I promise.
Yeah, we're both socially awkward, and I hope that with time we get a little more comfortable with being ourselves.
So don't judge us too hard off this one. Give us a little time.
No, thank you. Anybody that watched this and who will support us.
We appreciate it, and we appreciate all the support we've got already. I think that's actually very important to say. Like, we've had so much support already, and we haven't done anything, so.
And that definitely gave us reason to like do it, because I mean, if you hadn't started the page, then I wouldn't have done it, because I would prefer to stay out of, you know, I don't want any kind of attention, and
like, I mean, this is something we've wanted to do, and so then I kind of like took the jump and like pressured you into doing it, but and then we had like so much positive feedback from people we know, like, I mean, people personally saying things to us, our family sharing it, just like, it was just like, I mean, I feel like I'm at a loss for words, really, like, because it was just so, we're so grateful for it, so thank you.
Yeah, and I think the more that we do this, the more raw and vulnerable that we're going to be able to be when we see what kind of feedback we get from it, because we definitely could be more, more vulnerable with the personal situations, because it gets way deeper and way, like I said, more raw than what we're sharing. Yeah, so hope to keep this going. I'm so awkward. So that's it.
You next time.
Okay, shut it off. Shut it.
We're done. You're done.
You're done. Yep. We are done.